After the recent news item of a woman seeing a UFO through a window of an aircraft over New York City near LaGuardia Airport, it got me thinking, how many other times have UFOs been seen around airports? You might think of the O'Hare Airport in 2006, but shockingly, there are so many others from around the world. Welcome to Mysteries with a History, where you'll be taken on a wild ride into the unknown, the strange, and the mysterious. Like you, I have questions, and like you, I want answers. And with each episode together, we will peel away the layers to look for the truth. Let me bring in my co host, Jimmy Church, of Fade to Black Radio.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing.
So I don't get you answer the question before I can ask it. Oh, hello everybody. Welcome to the show today. Yeah, you did that on purpose, but I'll ask anyway. Is today connected to LaGuardia?
That's right. Because after the news item came out by News Nation, and I watched it this morning, I really thought to myself, how many times have people seen strange things in the sky? They're definitely not airplanes while they're on their travels, or when pilots have seen very bizarre things in and around airports and communicating it to air traffic control. And I thought, this would be a really great show because people always think of the O'Hare Chicago Airport in 2006, which we've covered extensively, and it's a brilliant case. But there are others, and when I'm saying from around the world, I mean it. Everywhere from China, Brazil, Russia, the United States, and the list goes on and on. I was like, we have to cover this today.
I've got an airport sighting myself, and we'll cover that later if we have time. But I fly a lot, Cristina, and I mean I fly a lot, and my phone is ready to go, and while I'm not sleeping, right, I'm looking out the window. I want to see some action. I haven't seen a UFO yet. I've seen some pretty crazy things, but all explainable, but strange stuff. And there is a general rule that doesn't seem to always be followed, but you're not supposed to be able to see another plane from your plane. In a general sense, that's it. If you can see another plane, you're on a commercial flight and you see another plane and you're at altitude at 35,000 feet, that's close. Okay, the plane is close if you can see it. So they avoid that. So that's a general rule when you're flying. Now, so I have seen other planes fly by. I've never had one next to, but cruise by, yes. Doesn't happen often, but that's how much I'm looking out the window. I'm looking for anything anomalous that I have not seen a UFO. I have not. I've got some video. I'll make this really quick. I've got video that I've shot. I remember I was flying once, and off in the distance, I'm looking out the window, and we're above the clouds, and below us, the clouds are white. You can't see the ground. Sunlight above, but below, just a blanket of white clouds. Very beautiful. But I see off in the distance, I see this black line come out of the clouds, and it's black. I'm like, oh, whoa, here we go. So I start shooting video. And my guess, if I was going to make a guess, it was like a B-52 bomber, an older, because it was just black smoke coming out of the engines, and it leveled out and then flew. And I took like a 5-minute video of this, and I was hoping for something else, but it turned out to be that. But that's how much I'm looking out the window. And like this report that just happened at LaGuardia, that happens to be somebody looking out the window. Well, multiple passengers, by the way. but looking out the window at the right time and had the wherewithal, the mindset at that moment to grab her phone and shoot that video. And the video is incredible. Do you have a still? I've got one shot of it.
Yeah, go ahead and share it. And while you do that, for those that aren't familiar with the information that just came out this morning, actually, Miss Reyes was on the ball. Not only did she whip out her phone immediately upon seeing this weird object, but she also very quickly she had mentioned it to the FAA, and she also mentioned it to a UFO research group as well. And the name escapes me, Jimmy. I know you know the answer to that, but what
I
I'm
do.
thinking is for someone to be quick on the ball like that is rare. And I just want to give her a huge round of applause to be able to do something like that so quickly.
Yeah, here is a screen capture from the video. Now, she describes this, and this is what is incredible to me. She describes it, Christina, as a black cylinder. Yeah.
Or
Now,
cigar shaped.
yeah. Now
Ah,
it looks, to me, with the shadow that is on it. Let me blow it up here for everybody. So this reflection that's right here, it looks curved, right? It's like an oval shape, but she describes it as a black cylinder, a dark cylinder. But look at this area right here. This is pretty interesting too, as well, where it doesn't look curved. So it's got a certain shape to it. It's I can tell you what it's not to me. It's not a bird, right? It's not that. It doesn't look like it's natural. It certainly doesn't look like a helicopter or a plane. A lot of these images can be distorted, and it can be something very simple like a helicopter or a plane or a bird. It's just distorted with the pickup and the sensor inside of the device that's taking the picture. In this case, we've got no artifacts that are distorted here. This is just simply what it is.
yeah,
And
and the crazy
now,
thing is,
okay, and, just let me say this: this is freakishly close to this plane that is landing at LaGuardia, and apparently it's only at 2,500 feet. The plane was on approach to LaGuardia. Several passengers saw it. It wasn't just one. I mean, several passengers saw it. The FAA is still reporting on it and investigating. And here's the other thing. I don't know if you caught this. They haven't released the airline or flight number. Do you have that info? This is
I
such a fluid breaking story that I've been trying to get this information, and they've withheld it so far. Do you have the flight number?
I do not have it, but I do have some further information regarding this video and the information from Ms. Reyes because she had mentioned that she was just recording the city skyline below and she wasn't anticipating the UFO sighting. So the UFO ended up flying into view, but she was right on the ball again with mentioning it and reporting it to the FAA and to the National UFO Reporting Center. And on top of that, Enigma Lab. So she was going bam, 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 three in a row, telling everyone that she can, hey, I saw this. Can you look into it? And that is the best practice when you have a UFO sighting. And that is just to kind of give some more clarity to this. Honestly, it's breaking news. It just broke
Breaking.
this morning. And hopefully, we will receive the answers that you're asking for, Jimmy, on the flight number and more information on that.
Well, what'd you think of the video?
It's interesting.
It is,
Now,
isn't it?
when we
It's a
deal
good
with
video.
UFO videos, it's always a blur. Yeah, like that's what you get, a blurry image, a blob, an orb, right? But here, we're actually able to see a more definite shape. There's detail here, and I think that puts it in a separate bin of, okay, these are actual UFO sightings that can be looked into a little bit better than those videos that you get. And I know you get a lot of them, Jimmy, of people sending footage, and it's literally just a ball of light, and that's all you have. And here, to me at least, it doesn't look like a drone, which we hear very often with these new UFO sightings. And this looks to be like a large nuts and bolt craft.
Now, I'm going to post this comment really quick because this popped into my mind. This is from Valiant Loki. Valiant, is that your real name? What a cool name to give your child, Valiant Loki. Just kidding. But the question is perfect. Triangle craft seen on edge. I thought the same thing because when I blew up this frame, this right here looks angled. So if I was going to make a guess from what little detail that we have here, it looks like it's rounded in the front with a triangle back. So now I don't know which direction because the plane is moving and the video is there. So I don't know which is front and which is back. Now, if this is the back of the craft, we got us a bona fide TR-3B, right? That's even crazier. And to be seen over a metropolitan area like New York, one of the largest population centers in the world, and LaGuardia being one of the busiest airports in the world, one of my favorite airports, by the way, says a lot of different things. Now, what was seen from the ground? Are we going to see additional footage? I hope that we do. I find this extremely exciting and compelling. Like I said, you can see a little bit of shape underneath. There's a shadow area right here. You've got this feature here, which looks straight to me. And then you've got this area here. I hope everybody can see this. There's this area here. The reflection of the sun certainly indicates a smooth surface, and it looks curved to me. Does it look rounded to you on this corner?
It does.
It's incredible. It's incredible. You know, that's one of the as we move on, we've got lots of different cases to cover today. That's the one thing about the UFO community and the subject and everything else. It never stops, right? You get these, hills and valleys, right? but there's always something going on, isn't there?
There is. And looking at this image, I mean, I can tell you what, Jimmy, that looks like the Turkey UFO night sighting. Don't you think?
Yeah.
Because it looks very similar to the video where there was apparently grays in the window. I feel
Hmm.
like we're seeing a very similar shape, if not the same.
Yeah. If we cut this off on the bottom, yeah,
Mhm.
right. And it's that's a great catch. And thank you, Michelle, for being on your game and capturing this. We're going to hear a lot about this in the days and weeks ahead. I'm very curious as to what the FAA has to say. This is in the flight path, the approach path at LaGuardia Airport. That, like I said, you're not supposed to be able to see anything when you're flying, and to have something like that right outside of your window, that would freak me out. And so there you go. What a way to start off the show today. Let me pull this down.
I know
Um,
it's something so recent. And W. Decker, thank you so much for that. And Android as well. He says, I bet Ben Hansen has the flight number. Well, if he does, make that information public, buddy. All right, because we all want to know it.
yeah, Ben is always on the case, isn't he? He knows how to get this done. And we don't. There's a few key pieces about this incident. First off, it's breaking news. That's the first thing. Second, we don't have the metadata from the video. So that will give you a lot of different information, not only about the video itself, but hopefully everything is geolocated and we have timestamps and I don't know if you can get altitude out of it, but maybe you can. There's a way to do that if the phone is connected to the internet. I don't know, but we need the metadata. We don't have that. We don't have the time of day. We don't have the flight number, and we don't have the airline. So we need all of that information, and then we can start to move forward here. I'm sure that the FAA has everything. She did reach out to the FAA. MUFON is involved. New Fork is involved. The local news is involved. So this is, like I said, referencing what you just pointed out. This is a fluid breaking story. But this time around, we've got some pretty crystal clear video from a civilian.
And while we're on the conversation of LaGuardia, I just would like to share one more story. And this image is merely a visual aid, but actually, back in 1975, Bud Hopkins was following a story that was came very close to LaGuardia Airport as well. And it took place July 30th, 1975, when Bud Hopkins was interviewing a woman by the name of Janet B. That is her pseudonym, her alias name, and it's written in his book Missing Time, published back in 1981. There isn't a lot of details regarding this case. However, the reason to why I'm bringing this up is when you have a pattern like that, where you have a location where there is not just one, but multiple UFO sightings taking place in the same area, we have to ask ourselves why. What is attracting these objects to be close or in the vicinity of LaGuardia Airport or any airport in general? Because we've mentioned this when talking about the O'Hare Airport that took place in 2006, that UFO sighting, because most airports, they are busy. You have thousands, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people going through them consistently. If you want to be seen, that is one of the best places to be seen. But if you want to be stealthy, you would never go to an airport or want to be seen near an airport. And this is a question that I'll probably be asking consistently today to you, Jimmy, and to those listening and watching this. Why do you think, based off of all the information that you have so far in your mind and all the research that you've ever done, why do you think there have been so many UFO sightings in and around airports?
For the reasons that you just gave, I think that's an obvious conclusion to want to be seen. Right. That, I hate to use the oldest thing ever, right? Hiding in plain sight. But there's that aspect. You have all of the traffic, the people, the planes, all of these eyeballs that are looking to the skies around an airport. That's what you do, right? Okay. So you have that aspect. And then you have the technology side of it. Not only are you going to be seen by witnesses, right? And you are able to do that, but you're also able to observe our technology. And they would be aware of certain radar signatures and electromagnetic stuff and communications and radio and digital streams that happen in and around an airport. They could track all of that. They also know that they are being tracked by radar. And what's the other element that comes into play here? Air traffic controllers, right? They are one of the best data sources, not only for the FAA or the Department of Defense, but civilian UFO agencies too, as well. You go and you talk to the flight controller, the air traffic controller. What did they see? It reminds me of the opening scene, right? In Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Indianapolis, flight control, the flight center there, and what goes on, right? So yeah, it's all of those things that you listed, and if you're going to try to be stealthy and don't want to be seen, the last place you're going to go is LaGuardia Airport, O'Hare Airport, an airport in China, an airport in Russia, right? Charles de Gaulle, Heathrow. Why would you do that? It's LAX, right? These are Atlanta. These are very, very, very busy hubs with lots of things in the sky and lots of eyeballs looking at the sky.
You just touched all of these really great points that I think is going to allow people to hopefully ask a lot of questions while we continue today's show. And Brian, thank you for that. Covering dragons, maybe at some point. Dragons are very cool and they have a special place in my heart. Jimmy, let me ask you this. I took the lead. Where would you like to go with this for our next case? And while you answer that, there is a poll for everyone watching this live on YouTube. Pick the right one. Pick the one that you think is right. And also, if you're enjoying the show, hit that like button right down below. Jimmy, what part of the world do you want to take us today?
Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico. All
I
right.
do. I do. I want to go right here. I want to go to Aguadilla. And
Okay.
yes, I've got the video, and we're going to run this right now, and everybody can watch it. We have, this video was revealed to the world on Fade to Black. And when it was first leaked, and then I had a friend of mine that was a researcher that told me about the video, and we did Fade to Black, and we ran that video that night. And it was like 2013, 2014. And since it has, of course, taken on a life of its own. There's the object right there. And this is directly over the runway. And as it travels, and it's moving, it's humming along. This was taken at night. This is around 9:30 p.m. I have some all of the data here, but the airport is in the northwest corner of Puerto Rico on the coast. And you can see this object. This is a Homeland Security plane that happened to be in the air during this incident. And then it flies over the coast. It gets to the beach, which you will see here in just a second. And then it appears there's the runway. You can see the runway. And it has already flown past the airplane hangars. Now, obviously being tracked. It's being shot in infrared, by the way. Okay, so Homeland Security is tracking this. Don't have an idea about the size or the color or anything. Where you see it disappear in a couple of spots, this is shot in infrared, like right there. It's not disappearing. It's going through probably a cool area, a cloud, and the atmosphere is causing that. But they are tracking it anyway. It appears to enter the water without a splash right here. Now watch this, and as it comes out of the water, this is right over the airport, right there. Okay, and then it comes out, and then appears to split into two. Now, why isn't there a splash? Why isn't there anything showing there? This is an infrared. So, what that would suggest to me is that it is possible right there, splits in two. Now, isn't that interesting?
It is. To answer your question on why there might not be a splash, there are some theories that people are considering that these unknown craft have a kind of vacuum around them that allow them to enter and exit water without disturbing it. This is a really interesting theory. Is it true? Not sure, but every single person or almost every single person that has encountered a sighting of a UFO entering or exiting the water, there is almost never a splash. And this is a
Yeah,
great example of that.
there could be a couple of explanations here. I'm not debunking. I'm just talking or anything like that. No, because this is a fantastic video. But the when you shoot in infrared, you're shooting at another light spectrum. So as that object went over the water, is the infrared sensor reading the water the same as the object, which would effectively make it disappear? You follow what I'm saying, right? It,
I
it
do.
becomes the background. And so, or the foreground. That's infrared. So that could be part of the explanation that why you don't see a splash. But I'll tell you what it doesn't explain. It doesn't explain that thing splitting into two. That's pretty nuts. That's pretty nuts. I don't see flapping of wings. It doesn't look like a bird. Its shape is very strange, and it appears to change. And I'm not saying it's morphing. What I am suggesting here, like with a lot of videos, it's not something on the lens. It's not debris. It's something that is fixed. All right. Whenever I look at a video, and I would suggest this not only to you, Christina, but everybody in the audience, always look at the video really, really, really closely because you want to see the object move a little bit. That's all you want. You just want that because then it's not fixed, right? It's not a piece of dust stuck to a lens or something else, which can throw you off. But if you see it move just a little bit in frame, then it's something that's being actually shot. And that's what we see here in this video. It's very compelling video.
It is. Now we're going to move on over to Ireland. I'm going to share my screen here merely as a visual aid because, according to the BBC, back in 2018, the Irish Aviation Authority, they were investigating reports of mysterious bright lights and UFOs observed off the southwest coast of Ireland. And the incident began at about 8:47 local time on Friday, November 9th, 2018, when a British Airways pilot flying from Montreal, Canada to Heathrow, England, contacted Shannon Air Traffic Control to inquire about potential military exercises in the area as she had witnessed something moving way too fast. Now, air traffic control confirmed that there were no ongoing military exercises. So the British Airways pilot reported seeing a very bright light that appeared along the left side of the aircraft before rapidly going northward. And obviously, as any pilot would be, she was very curious about the object's nature, but noted that it did not appear to be on a collision course. Here's the crazy thing. She said that it was going so fast, it went to about speed of Mach 2, which is twice, okay, twice the speed of sound. For a pilot to encounter anything bizarre, the first thing they are required to do is contact air traffic control. Then they need to go through all of their training and think, what could it be? Could it be another airplane? Could it be a jet? Could it be a drone, weather balloon, and so on and so forth? But when it is going at the speed of Mach 2, it would make anyone shiver a little too much that they'll need to use the bathroom right after. Here, with
Sure.
this case that took place just very close to Ireland, it displays to people that UFO sightings don't just happen in the United States. And I'm saying this because so many times, Jimmy, we get comments of, why do UFO sightings only happen in the USA? Why can't they happen in any other country? And the thing is, they are happening all over the world. It just seems that the United States is just getting a little bit extra attention when all countries have that equal opportunity to get their own UFO sightings. But it's very alarming when pilots see very strange things, which leads me into the next question of, how many pilots have seen strange things and they never reported it? What if they recorded it with video, with photos, but are going to die with that secret because of the ridicule? Does one pilot have the smoking gun evidence that we are all desiring so deeply within, but they will never come forward because of the current ridicule.
Yeah, that's exactly the point. And in this case with Shannon Airport in Ireland, by the way, this was 2018. So this is like last week. This is a very, very recent encounter. But it wasn't just one pilot, it was three additional, four total that got in on the chatter about these lights. And the way that they described them, they all described them in the same way, Christina. And you had a Virgin Airways pilot jump in with the same sighting. And he described two bright lights to the right of his plane that climbed up and away. Yeah, and at great speed. And another pilot said he got in, and this is radio chatter, right? They're all talking about this sighting, and he said that it was traveling to the northeast and climbing up, flying fast. So when you say something like when a pilot says Mach 2, Mach 2, everybody is 1,500 miles per hour. That's really, really, really fast. Now, a commercial plane, at its best, I was on a commercial flight. This happened to me twice last year. This was happening around the world, and it was great fun. We had this crazy airstream that was going on that was taking commercial flights over 700 miles an hour. Right? Normally, you fly at 400, and I'm watching, because you can watch the airspeed on the back of the seat. And I'm watching it 735, 740, 745. Oh my God. We're ripping. And all these flights were arriving 2 hours early, right? Because of these tailwinds. Well, as fast as that is, Mach 2 is double that. It's twice that fast. It's 1,500 miles per hour. So yeah, pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. Let's look at the clock. Let's keep this moving along. We just did Aguadilla. I do want to tell everybody Aguadilla was April 25th, 2013. That was at 9:20 p.m. local time. And that was Rafael Hernandez International Airport, and the city is Aguadilla, and it was directly over the runway there. What was interesting about this incident with the video that I just showed you was the tower tried to tried to contact this craft. Yeah, tried to search for a transponder and got no response back. They had airplanes on the runway moving and getting ready to take off, and they didn't want to have a dangerous incident there. And that's what was going down. Again, the same thing over other airports too, as well. Don't you find it interesting, Christina, when a busy airport where you've got passengers arriving and departing and everything that is involved with that, luggage, traffic, the pickup, departures, arrive, all of this commotion going on, you are a well-oiled machine. It can't stop. Everything gets messed up. So when you stop flights because of a UFO, that's a really, really, really big deal. And that's when everybody should stop and pay attention to what's going on here. For an airport to shut down because of a UFO incident, something serious is going on.
I'm with you on that one. And then when they provide explanations of it being a weather balloon or strange cloud formations, it is not a significant, and I'm using that word heavily, it is not a significant answer to tell the airport, all right, shut it down. Shut down all of the flights for X amount of time because guys, there's this crazy cloud out there. We gotta stop. It doesn't make any sense. Now, with some of these sightings that we'll be covering and have covered thus far, there were times where flights were not canceled and when flights were heavily canceled. Where is the next place you want to go?
Sao Paulo. Sao Paulo.
All
Sao
right.
Paulo. I sound like I speak Portuguese.
Yeah,
Sao
it sounded
Paulo.
pretty good.
Sao Paulo. Sao Paulo is one of the craziest, I've been there, one of the craziest cities in the world. And there's a reason why I say that. It's probably, I don't know if Hong Kong or Taiwan, Tokyo, Manhattan's not even in the play here. That these concentrations of people in a very small area geographically, Sao Paulo is probably the most densest, concentrated, built all the way up to the edge of a cliff. Cities in the world. It's nuts. It's nuts. It's congested. It's crazy. It's heavily populated, and it's a beautiful city too, as well. But that also means it's got a busy airport, and they've got a lot of military in that area too, as well. Sao Paulo is a very important commercial city, very important part of Brazil, and so you have the Sao Paulo Guarulhos International Airport. And this happened in 1986 around 8:15 p.m. Brazilian local time. And this was on May 19th, where Sergio Mota da Silva, an air traffic controller, there we go, right? We're already on the right, we're on the right path here. At the airport, Sao Jose dos Campos Airport, otherwise known as SJK when you're flying. That's the airport's designation. SJK spotted 3 bright lights hovering over the airport in the night sky. But check this out, Cristina. This is nuts what happens. At 9:08, now that's at 8:15 p.m., he makes his report. And he's watching these lights. At 9:08 p.m., about 55 minutes later, an EMB, that's a commercial plane, 121 Xingu plane, call sign number PTMBZ, on its way to SJK from Brasilia, that's Brazil's capital, reports seeing the bright red lights near the coast moving east to west over the airport. Then, this is by 9:39 p.m., Santa Cruz Air Force Base was put on alert due to the presence of several unidentified radar plots around SJK Airport. Now, 5 planes, 5 military jets were launched, 5 in a 20-minute period. Okay, one after another. Boom, 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 boom. 3 made contact. Okay, 1 follows on radar and gets above the object and is looking down at it. And that is according to his report. And he said when he saw it, it had changed from a red to white light. And he followed it. The last 2 planes, that was in a Mirage 3, by the way, Dassault Mirage. 2 more, and these are crazy fighter jets, the Mirage 3. 2 more Mirage 3s were launched in that 20-minute window, went to the same cap point, and the object was gone. They couldn't visually see it. It was still there on radar. Now, the other part about this, and this is very important, in total, Cristina, 21 radar plots were obtained during the incident over a 2-hour period. 21.
That's insane. And what's more interesting, well, not more interesting, but also something to add here is that in an interview given back in 1993, the pilot that was flying the Mirage 3 had mentioned that the object's velocity went to about Mach 15. So in the
Yeah,
last case, we're looking at Mach 2. Now we're looking
right.
at Mach 15 for this case. And it took him from 1986, he sat on his story until 1993 when he gave his interview, name unknown, telling the world how fast this object was moving. And Cassidy, thank you so much. And you're totally right. The footage is getting insane. Can you kind of give people an understanding of how fast Mach 15 is?
A blink.
Oh,
You
faster
can't.
than that.
Yeah. You can't even blink that fast. You can't. And fast. Little fun fact: your eyelids are the fastest muscles in your body. Right. That's how quick. Right. That's how fast. It's the fast. It is. It's the fastest muscle in your body. Mach 15 is faster. It's faster. That's how fast it is. Mach 15. So I'll tell you, you want that in miles per hour. You ready?
Yes.
Yeah, check this out. This is Jimmy Church right here. It is 11,445 miles per hour. That's ripping. That's ripping. That's satellite speed. That's insane. It's really really fast. Now, when you see that, that's the other part about this. You're an air traffic controller. You're somebody. You're a pilot. You're a co-pilot. You're a navigator, right? Whatever you're doing. But if you are watching radar, you can see stuff moving around at 400 miles an hour, other planes, 150 miles an hour, slow, small planes and stuff. You can see stuff moving around, and you get a general idea of what's happening. You see something moving at 700 miles an hour. Okay, that's ripping. That's something, right? 800 miles an hour. Now it's probably military, a fighter jet. 900 miles an hour, right? Okay, you're watching this and you can see it move on the radar. You see something go at 15,000 miles per hour, Mach 15, the reports of Mach 20, the tic tac going from 80,000 feet to sea level, right? And you hear these feet. You know how fast that is on radar, right? And so when you see that as a professional, there's nothing in nature that does that. There's nothing. There's nothing. There's nothing in nature. There's nothing. Nothing. So what
No.
is it? What can generate that kind of speed? And reports like this have gone on for decades. Since the creation of radar, then we're going to move on to the next case. With the creation of radar, and radar operators from different militaries around the world, but let's just talk about the United States for a second. It was great science and it was fresh science. And we could suddenly not only visually locate something and know where it is, but we can triangulate and guesstimate its altitude and its speed. Okay. Now, at that time, the speed of something with a prop, with a propeller at its fastest was 400 miles an hour, 450, right? Jets were just happening. Nobody broke the sound barrier until the 1950s. Okay, but in those early days of radar, there are so many reports about UFOs and Project Blue Book and in other reports of objects doing 2, 3, 4, 5,000 miles per hour when there was nothing on this planet coming close to that, coming close to 1,000 miles per hour. So these reports have been coming out for a long time, and that's why radar and the speed of something on radar is significant because it's not natural and it's out there. It's not a storm cloud, right? It's not something like that. There's something else that's creating this, and it's a solid object being reflected by radar.
I think that's a great transition to get into our next one, getting into Russia.
Mm.
And there were two sightings that took place, but we'll go into the more prevalent one that took place in April of 2012. And according to the Huff Post, there were numerous residents of St. Petersburg, Russia, reported sightings of very strange lights and UFOs in the sky right over the city and right next to the airport. And the sightings occurred on 3 consecutive nights. When we see something happen more than once, Jimmy, what is that called?
Not a coincidence.
A UFO flap, but also not a coincidence. So
Not a coincidence.
from April 9th through April 11th, this was causing a lot of concern and also speculation in the public because that means they can go out every day and see this strange object in the sky right next to the airport. And then one notable incident involved a ball shaped UFO hovering over, bear with me, Pulkovo Airport.
That's correct. Polkovo.
Thank you. Pol- Pulkovo, which worried airport employees. I'm sorry, about potential disruption to aircraft operations, which is critical thinking, which makes perfect sense. But here's the crazy thing: the object vanished before any action could be taken, and there allegedly are several videos that have captured the UFO activity. I wasn't able to find them, showing bright lights moving and hovering in the evening sky. Again, it's coming from the Huff Post. And it says here that there have been some videos that have been captured of like 4 balls of light that were near a very tall building and then disappeared just right behind the structure. But despite these widespread reports that took place back in 2012, authorities did not provide any official explanation for the UFO activity, and some unconfirmed reports suggest that local army officials hinted at the aerial activity being part of the training exercises, which seems that doesn't matter what country you come from or what country you're researching. When there is a strange sighting, people say, nope, it's military or it's Venus. Doesn't matter the country.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. And there's good reasons for that. You know, I can understand that. You're trying to, not cause panic, and you don't want to freak people out. Oh, it's Venus. Oh, okay. Okay. All right.
That was a close one.
And
'Cause it was chasing me, you know?
yeah,
That's me.
exactly. And now, in this particular incident, it was over 3 days. There have been multiple over a couple of decades, multiple sightings over St. Petersburg's airport. So, but this one, February 28th of 2023. Now, what year is this? This is
24.
2024. What month is this? This is March. This is a year ago,
April.
right? Yeah, well, April. My point is February 28th. Okay. Now, February 28th, when I investigated this, I took out, I have a thing called a calendar on my cell phone. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but they're really cool. And you can choose the year, right? So yeah. So you can actually go back in time and go to the year and pick out a day. So that's
So
what I
a
did.
calendar's
And
like a time traveler?
yeah, it is. Because in these news reports on this latest incident, I went to the actual report that was released that day. And so you've got to chase it down. Okay, when was this released by Reuters or whoever? And when they say Tuesday of this week, you look at the date and then you got to back up and you go, oh, okay, Tuesday is here. So I did that on my phone, and it came up February 28th. Yeah, the date is not in the official government release on this incident. Isn't that interesting? So you have to chase it down. So that's where February 28th came into play and why I said March. Because February 28th is the last day of the month. Then you've got March 1st on that Wednesday. Okay. So, anyway, long explanation for that, but how I got to the date. Now you can actually look it up. February 28th, 2023. And the airport was forced to close down. It suspended not one flight, it suspended all flights on that Tuesday because the UFO was spotted in the area by multiple witnesses and multiple reports came in. Now, it was seen moving, and it was first spotted about 50 miles away from the airport, traveling towards the airport. And what was in between the first sighting and the airport? A military base. So it was then seen flying over the military base and then getting to St. Petersburg International Airport, where they then shut everything down. And they closed the airport, by the way. It's open today. I'm saying that was a general shutdown. They shut everything down. Yeah. That's a big incident. That's a big one. But which takes us to I want to talk about China. And for a while as we wrap up the show, but let's end on China. And let's end on China for not one, not two, not three, not four, not five, but about 20 airport closures and UFO incidents. And you and I have talked about this before. China doesn't like to talk about stuff. They don't. They don't. They don't. It just must be very boring for people over there to read the news because nothing happens. Nothing bad happens. Nothing strange happens. I guess there are no serial killers, right? There are no bank heists. There are no there's nothing happens. There's no bad news. But for some reason there's a preponderance of UFO sightings over airports in China, and China is not reticent, Cristina, to A, shut down the airport, and B, talk about it. And for how many years? It just seemed like month after month after month after month, China's reporting another airport closure because of a UFO, and the citizens in and around the cities and towns in these areas are allowed to talk about it. And pictures. How many videos and pictures have we seen of UFOs over Chinese airports? It's dozens. It's crazy, isn't it? I don't have an explanation. Do you?
No, not a single one. But let's get into the case. So, according to ABC News, October 16th, 2010, there was a handful of UFO sightings that took place consistently from 2010 up to 2012. And they were happening in different airports, but one of them that we'll be talking about took place in the Chengdu Shuangliu International Airport. I practiced that one before the show even started. But what we're looking at here is air traffic control noticing these objects in the airport vicinity, pilots calling in and saying, "Hey, are you seeing this?" And there is no explanation. Investigations were done by their version of the FAA, and there were no explanations. None, not a single one. And the crazy thing that this didn't happen just once or twice. It happened 8, 10, 12, 20 times for a certain period of time that spanned a few years. And for there not to be a single explanation for that whole time frame, it's really shocking. Could it really have been or is military exercises? Or is it something that kind of falls in the category of anomalous? And if that is the case for either one, why would you want to practice near an airport? It's very very dangerous. And if you are uh, being operated by extraterrestrials, maybe even interdimensionals, who knows? Why would you want to be seen in such a high volume place? The questions never end. We are left with so many more questions than answers. It can be a little frustrating, but this is what stimulates our minds to think outside of the box. And I want to hear from you, Jimmy, and for those listening to this live or after the fact, when it comes to, in this case, China, when we're looking at one airport in particular, why do you want to be seen so many times over the course of several years versus maybe just once or twice and then go bother another airport?
Yeah, they had eight eight airport closures uh, in 5 months. 5 months, eight UFO sightings, eight closures in 5 months: June, July, August, September, October. All right. And one of the biggest sightings was the month before the one you just mentioned at the same airport on September 11th, 2010, by the way. Huge sighting, multiple witnesses, air traffic control, and everything else directly above the airport. And the crazy part about that particular date, which is September 11th, on September 10th, the day before, residents had already taken pictures of UFOs in the town right there, and released them. They released the photos, they released the videos. And this was in the afternoon during the day before the mass sighting that happened the next day that shut everything down. And again, like I said, 5 months, eight closures, UFOs reports at the same airport. And each one of these objects, by the way, um, hovered in plain view. Hovered. And one, now, because there were so many sightings, now, we have townships, we have regional airports, we have large metropolitan airports across China, multiple cities, not just this one that happened, like you just said, over a 12-year period. It's a very strange occurrence. And then you have the one at Xiaoshan Airport when it shut down, and that object was described as a glowing golden light and had a comet like tail. Okay. And that was seen 1 hour before the hovering UFO that ended up shutting down the airport. And then, as the witnesses started to come forward, this is one of the craziest parts about this. They said that the golden object that was hovering started to emit red and white rays of light towards the ground. Yeah. And the same airport, Jiaozhan, it shut down July 7th, 2010, in a separate incident. And this is a big airport. Just, I don't get it. China, as we wrap up this show, China, as we all know, it's very difficult to get news and to get reporting out of China. They control everything. The internet is controlled, the media is controlled, reporting is controlled, and everything is owned by the government. It's really that simple. For them to constantly choose to report on UFOs and then UFOs interrupting air traffic, commercial and military flights, and shutting stuff down in a very controlled society like that, that stuff is not supposed to happen. So why do they choose to cover it? I think it's a big question and one I'm trying to get the answers for.
And I think with that, that is a great way to end today's show. ending it with a question. Jimmy, thank you, as always, for doing this show with me. I always appreciate it. Another great show, as it is every single week. Out of all the cases that we covered in all these different countries, which one was your favorite? Let me know in the live chat. Let me know in the comments. I do try my absolute best to read all of the comments. Tomorrow is going to be our 100 episode anniversary for Strangest News of the Week. You do not want to miss it. It's going to be live. We're going to be doing giveaways where you can get merch, and I'll be having my special guest, John Russell. It's going to be live, and I will tell you that time when I can remember it. But make sure to hit that notification bell so you do not miss it. It's going to be a lot of fun. Make sure to hit the like button if you haven't already, and subscribe, as I do 3 videos right here every single week. That is it for today. I will see you tomorrow. Be safe, and remember, keep your eyes on the skies. If you enjoy the strange and the mysterious, UFOs, the paranormal, and cryptids, this channel is for you. So make sure to subscribe, as I do 3 videos right here every single week, and hit that notification bell so you do not miss any of the bonus content I post right here.